The Eclipse Protocol. The stars seemed different from the observation deck of the TSS Shadowfall. Captain Maya Rivera often found herself here during the ship's night cycle, gazing into the void that humanity had only recently begun to explore. Unlike the other vessels in Earth's fledgling fleet, the Shadowfall wasn't built to impress. Its matte black hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, its silhouette deliberately understated. The ship was Earth's secret weapon, though few even among humanity's leadership understood exactly what they had created. "Captain, you're needed on the bridge." The voice of Lieutenant Commander Darius Chen, her XO, came through her comm unit. Long-range sensors have detected multiple vessels approaching from the Orion sector. Configuration unknown. Understood. Yellow alert. I'm on my way. Maya took one last look at the stars before heading to the bridge. The Shadowfall had been patrolling the outer reaches of human space for 3 months without incident. Perhaps today that would change. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency when she arrived. The crew of the Shadowfall represented the best of humanity, not just in skill, but in adaptability and resilience. Each had been personally selected by Maya from various backgrounds, united by a shared quality. They refused to accept defeat. "Visual confirmation coming through now, Captain," reported Ensign Tara Okoro, the ship's sensor specialist. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing 5 vessels of varying configurations, sleek and clearly advanced. Their hulls bore intricate patterns in metallic blue and silver, designs too perfect to be merely aesthetic. "No matches in our database," Chen noted, standing at Maya's side. "First contact scenario." Maya nodded, her expression remaining neutral. "Let's not make assumptions. Open all standard communication channels and broadcast the first contact protocol." For several minutes, the bridge remained silent as they awaited a response. Then the view screen changed, revealing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to shift color like an oil slick. "Greetings, vessel of unknown origin. I am Arbitrator Selvin of the Galactic Concord. You have entered monitored space. Identify yourselves." The universal translator rendered the words in English, but couldn't fully mask the cold precision in the alien's tone. Maya straightened. "I am Captain Maya Rivera of the Terran spaceship Shadowfall. We represent the United Earth government. We were unaware this region was claimed territory." The alien's eyes narrowed slightly. "Terran. Ah, yes. The newly spacefaring species from the isolated system. You have advanced quickly, it seems." There was something in his voice. Surprise, perhaps, or concern. "The Concord maintains order across 12 sectors. All interstellar traffic must be registered and approved." "We're on a peaceful exploratory mission," Maya replied. "But we maintain sovereign rights to defend our borders. We'd welcome formal diplomatic relations with your Concord." "Indeed." The alien studied her for a moment. "A diplomatic vessel will be dispatched to your home system. In the meantime, you will power down your weapons systems and submit to escort back to your territory." Maya's expression didn't change, but her voice cooled. "We'll gladly accept an escort, Arbitrator, but the Shadowfall's systems remain under my command as per Terran protocols. We look forward to peaceful relations, but we don't surrender operational control of our vessels." The alien's eyes flashed. "That is not how things are done in Concord space, Captain." "Then perhaps this is an opportunity for both our peoples to learn new ways," Maya replied evenly. "We'll match course and speed with your escort, but our systems remain active." The communication ended abruptly. Chen turned to Maya, concern evident on his face. "Captain, antagonizing a clearly advanced civilization on our first meeting may not be the wisest course." Maya's eyes remained on the view screen where the alien ships now moved into formation around them. "Note how they've positioned themselves, Darius. Attack formation, not escort. They're taking measure of us." She tapped her console. "All stations, maintain yellow alert. Monitor every frequency and scan. This is a learning opportunity." The journey back toward Earth's territory took 3 days, during which the Concorde vessels maintained their positions. Maya used the time to observe everything about them: their propulsion signatures, communication patterns, energy outputs. The Shadowfall's specialized sensors, far more advanced than anything the Concorde might expect from a newly spacefaring species, recorded it all. On the third day, as they approached the edge of what humanity had claimed as their space, the situation changed. 3 new vessels appeared on long-range sensors, their configuration radically different from the Concorde ships. Energy signatures indicate weapons charging, reported Lieutenant Kamala Patel from Tactical. They're targeting the Concorde vessels, not us. As they watched, the new arrivals opened fire without warning. 2 of the Concorde ships suffered immediate hits, their shields flaring brilliantly. Arbitrator Selvin is hailing us, Chen reported. On screen, Maya ordered. The alien's face appeared, now showing signs of stress. Captain Rivera, we are under attack by Scourge raiders. This is not your conflict. Continue to your territory while we handle this threat. Maya considered this for precisely 3 seconds. Arbitrator, we don't abandon others to an unprovoked attack. The Shadowfall stands ready to assist. Surprise flashed across the alien's features before the communication cut off. Maya turned to her crew. Battle stations. Tactical. Analyze their weapons and defensive capabilities. Helm. Position us to support the Concorde vessels while maintaining defensive options. Captain. Chen spoke quietly beside her. The Eclipse Protocol has never been tested in actual combat. Maya nodded. Then today we find out what it can do. Prepare Eclipse shields and targeting systems. The raiders pressed their attack, clearly expecting an easy victory against the damaged Concorde vessels. They paid little attention to the human ship until the Shadowfall suddenly accelerated, placing itself between the attackers and a heavily damaged Concorde vessel. Eclipse shields at full capacity, reported Lieutenant Patel. Kinetic dampeners online. The lead raider vessel fired a concentrated energy beam at the Shadowfall, a weapon that had just cut through a Concorde ship's defenses. When it struck the Shadowfall, something unprecedented happened. The energy didn't dissipate against a conventional shield. Instead, the beam seemed to bend around the human vessel, its trajectory altered before being redirected back at its source with doubled intensity. The raider ship's shields collapsed immediately under its own reflected weapon, and its hull breached in multiple places. The other raiders adjusted quickly, switching to projectile weapons, but these too found no purchase as the Shadowfall's kinetic dampeners created localized distortions in spacetime, slowing the projectiles until they were easily destroyed by point defense lasers. Now, Miss Patel, Maya ordered calmly, demonstrate the Shadowfall's primary function. What happened next would become legend across the galaxy. The Shadowfall's hull began to absorb ambient light, growing darker until it was difficult to track visually. Then precise beams of concentrated darkness, not energy as conventionally understood, but weaponized gravitational distortions, lanced out from the ship. Where these beams touched the raider vessels, matter simply failed. Not an explosion, not disintegration, but a fundamental collapse of atomic structure. One moment the ships existed, the next, sections of them simply didn't, leaving bizarre geometric gaps in their hulls. The raiders that could still maneuver retreated immediately, jumping to FTL with obvious desperation. Silence fell across the Shadowfall's bridge. Maya stood from her command chair and surveyed her crew. Damage report? None, Captain, Chen replied, his voice slightly unsteady. Eclipse systems functioning at 97% efficiency. Energy reserves at 82%. Maya nodded. Open a channel to Arbitrator Selvin. When the alien's face appeared on screen, his expression was unreadable. Captain Rivera, he said slowly, what manner of vessel is the Shadowfall? A protector, arbitrator. Nothing more, nothing less. She maintained eye contact. Do your ships require further assistance? No. The word came quickly. Our reinforcements will arrive shortly. You may proceed to your territory. The communication ended. Maya turned to her crew. Set course for Earth. Let's go home. As the Shadowfall prepared to depart, Chen approached his captain. They're afraid of us now. Maya nodded. Yes, and fear too often leads to violence. Send all data on the encounter to Fleet Command, encrypted channel. The Concorde will be researching everything they witnessed today. She paused, looking at the damaged alien vessels on the view screen. What they don't understand is that the Shadowfall isn't the weapon. It's what we created it from. The Genesis crisis, Chen said quietly. Exactly. Maya's eyes hardened at the memory. 5 years earlier, humanity had faced extinction when the Genesis pathogen, an engineered biological weapon from an unknown source, had threatened to render Earth uninhabitable. In desperation, human scientists had made breakthroughs in quantum physics that defied conventional understanding, creating technologies based on principles no human had imagined before the crisis. The Shadowfall represented the military application of those discoveries, a ship that didn't just use advanced technology, but embody a fundamentally different understanding of physics. What the Concorde had just witnessed wasn't simply a powerful weapon. It was proof that humans approached the universe differently. Send a message to Admiral Santos, Maya ordered. Tell him, the eclipse has been witnessed. Prepare for dawn. As the Shadowfall left the scene of battle, dozens of sensor probes from the Concorde vessels tracked its departure. Within days, emergency sessions would be called among the highest levels of the Galactic Concorde. The question would not be if this new species posed a threat, but how soon they would need to be contained. Maya Rivera returned to the observation deck after her shift ended, staring out at the stars. She knew what was coming. The Shadowfall had been built because humanity had learned the hard way that the universe was not always peaceful. They had survived the Genesis crisis because they refused to accept extinction. The Concorde would fear them now. They would seek to control what they didn't understand. But humanity had faced extinction once and emerged transformed. Whatever came next, they would be ready. Beyond the boundary, the diplomatic chamber aboard the Concorde station Harmony Point was designed to impress. Its ceiling arched 70 meters overhead, embedded with representations of every major star system in Concorde space. The chamber's circular design placed the speaker's platform at the center, surrounded by tiered seating for the 12 elder races and lower positions for their client species. Maya Rivera stood on that platform now, her Terran fleet uniform stark and utilitarian against the ornate surroundings. Around her sat representatives from over 30 spacefaring civilizations, all members of the Galactic Concorde. 6 standard months had passed since the Shadowfall's encounter with the Scourge Raiders, 6 months of increasingly tense diplomatic exchanges. The decision of this council is final, intoned High Arbitrator Niven, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light as he spoke. The vessel classification known as Eclipse Protocol is hereby declared illegal within all Concorde space and neutral zones. All such vessels must be decommissioned or surrendered for containment. Maya's expression remained neutral, though her hands clasped behind her back tightened. The United Earth Government acknowledges your position, High Arbitrator. However, we must respectfully decline to comply. A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. Niven's compound eyes narrowed. Captain Rivera, perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The technology your species has developed violates fundamental safety protocols established for the protection of all civilizations. With respect, Maya replied, the Eclipse Protocol was developed by humans, for human defense, using principles discovered independently. We joined these diplomatic talks in good faith, seeking mutual understanding. Instead, we've been presented with ultimatums. Your vessel disrupts the balance of power that maintains peace, countered Representative Laurel of the Ashtari Dominion, her feathered crest rising in agitation. One ship, a single human ship, neutralized 3 Scourge vessels without sustaining damage. If this technology proliferates, then perhaps the Scourge raids that have plagued your outer colonies for decades would end. Maya interrupted. We've reviewed your historical records. The Concord has failed to protect its member worlds from these raiders. Yet when humanity demonstrates a solution, you demand we surrender it. High Arbitrator Niven rose from his seat, towering to his full 3-meter height. This council session is concluded. Captain Rivera, you have 14 standard cycles to communicate our decision to your government. After that time, any Eclipse Protocol vessel encountered will be subject to immediate containment measures. Maya nodded once, sharply. I understand your position. And now you should understand ours. Humanity survived an extinction-level event by developing this technology. We will not surrender the means of our survival. She stepped from the platform without waiting for dismissal. As she left the chamber, a figure fell into step beside her. Selvin, the arbitrator she had first encountered months ago. That was poorly handled, Captain, he said quietly, both by the Council and by you. Maya glanced at him. Did you expect me to meekly accept their demands? No. Selvin's voice held something like resignation. But I had hoped for a compromise. The Council fears what they don't understand, and humans, you represent something unprecedented. They reached the docking area where Maya's shuttle waited. She turned to face the alien. What do you mean, unprecedented? Selvin's color-shifting eyes settled into a deep purple. Most species take thousands of years to advance from atmospheric flight to interstellar travel. Humanity did it in less than 3 centuries. Most species develop gradually, building on established principles. Your Eclipse technology doesn't just advance existing understanding. It operates on principles no other species has discovered. The Genesis crisis forced us to think differently, Maya said. When conventional solutions fail, you either find unconventional ones or you perish. And therein lies the fear, Selvin replied. A species that develops so quickly, thinks so differently, and refuses to be constrained. What will you become in another century? Another millennium? He stepped back. The containment fleet has already been assembled, Captain. 28 capital ships from 12 species. They will find and neutralize the Shadowfall. Maya's expression didn't change. Then they will fail, Arbitrator. Not because the Shadowfall is invincible, but because you fundamentally misunderstand what you're trying to contain. She boarded her shuttle without another word. As it detached from the station, she accessed the secure communication system. Rivera to Shadowfall. Diplomatic options exhausted. Initiate Ghost Protocol. Authorization Omega-7-3. Across Concord space, the hunt for the Shadowfall began. The TSS Shadowfall had officially been docked at Terra's orbital shipyard when the diplomatic talks began. The day after the Council's decision, Concord observers confirmed it was no longer there. No departure had been logged, no transit recorded through any monitored jump point. For 3 months, the Concord containment fleet searched. They followed rumors, sensor ghosts, unconfirmed sightings. The Shadowfall seemed to appear and disappear at will, sometimes reported simultaneously in systems light years apart. It became a phantom, a legend. Admiral Taurus of the Mithridian Collective, commander of the containment fleet, grew increasingly frustrated. His ships chased shadows while his superiors demanded results. It must have a base of operations, he insisted during a strategy session. No vessel can operate indefinitely without resupply, not even with their technology. Unless, suggested his intelligence officer, it's not operating alone. That possibility changed the search parameters. The containment fleet began monitoring all human vessels, searching for patterns, supply transfers, unusual movements. They found nothing conclusive, yet the Shadowfall sightings continued. Then came the incident at Omega Centauri, a resource-rich system on the edge of Concord space. A mining colony sent distress calls reporting a massive Scourge fleet approaching, the largest concentration of raider vessels ever recorded. The nearest Concord Defense Force was 3 days away at maximum speed. When the defense vessels finally arrived, they found the Scourge fleet destroyed. Completely. Surveillance recordings showed the Shadowfall appearing from nowhere, engaging the raiders with its impossible weapons, then vanishing again before Concord forces arrived. The colony had been saved, but Admiral Taurus now faced a political nightmare. The Shadowfall was being hailed as a hero across the outer colonies, which had suffered scourge raids for generations. Civilian traffic began refusing to share information about possible Shadowfall sightings with Concord vessels. 6 months into the hunt, Admiral Taurus received new orders. The containment mission was now authorized to target any human vessel suspected of supporting the Shadowfall. 2 days later, a Terran medical transport was boarded and its crew detained. The diplomatic channels between Earth and the Concord, already strained, went silent. A week after that, Admiral Taurus's flagship detected an anomalous reading near the Edge Nebula, a vast cloud of dust and gas that marked the boundary between Concord space and the uncharted regions beyond. The reading matched one of the theoretical signatures of the Shadowfall's drive system. All vessels converge on these coordinates, Taurus ordered. Maximum speed, silent running. We may have only one chance at this. 18 ships of the containment fleet arrived at the Edge Nebula, spreading out to surround the anomaly. For hours, they detected nothing. Then, a flicker of movement. "Target locked," reported the weapons officer. "Firing solution ready." "Fire," ordered Taurus. Energy weapons lanced through space and passed through nothingness. The sensor reading had vanished. It was a decoy, Taurus realized too late. All ships, full defensive. His order was cut short as space itself seemed to darken around his fleet. The Shadowfall appeared directly in the center of their formation, where no ship could have possibly navigated without detection. "Attention Concord vessels," came Maya Rivera's voice over all communication channels. "This is Captain Rivera of the TSS Shadowfall. You are targeting a ship that has committed no hostile act against the Concord. Stand down. You have violated Concord law by operating a prohibited vessel." Taurus responded, "Surrender or be destroyed." "Admiral," Maya's voice remained calm, "look at your tactical display. Really look at it." Taurus did, and felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. The Shadowfall wasn't alone. Surrounding the Concord fleet, previously hidden by the nebula's interference, were dozens of vessels. Not just the Shadowfall, but an entire fleet of human ships, each emitting the distinctive signature of Eclipse technology. "Impossible," whispered Taurus. "The Eclipse protocol was limited to one prototype vessel." "A necessary deception," Maya replied. "When the Genesis crisis struck Earth, we didn't build one ship with this technology. We rebuilt our entire fleet. The Shadowfall was simply the first to make contact." The revelation hit Taurus like a physical blow. The Concord hadn't been chasing a single dangerous vessel. They had been completely unaware of the true extent of human capability, if these ships decided to attack. "However," Maya continued, "we didn't bring you here to threaten you. We came to show you something your sensors have been detecting but your analysts have been ignoring." The Edge Nebula suddenly illuminated as all the human vessels directed scanning beams into its depths. On the tactical displays of every Concord ship appeared a massive structure, previously hidden within the nebula's heart. "That," Maya explained, "is a Scourge Hive ship, the source of the raiders that have plagued your outer colonies for generations. Your Concord has never ventured far enough into the nebula to discover it. We did." Taurus stared at the readings in disbelief. The structure was enormous, at least 20 kilometers in length, and surrounded by hundreds of the smaller raider vessels they had encountered before. "Our analysis suggests it's preparing for a major offensive," Maya continued. "Not raids this time. An invasion. We've been tracking their communications, watching their movements. The target is the Concord core worlds." "Why show us this?" Taurus demanded, suspicious despite his shock. "Why not simply destroy it yourselves if your vessels are so capable?" "Because despite what your council believes, we don't seek conflict," Maya answered. "We want peaceful coexistence. This threat concerns all spacefaring civilizations in this region. We're offering an alliance against a common enemy, not a unilateral solution." For a long moment, Taurus was silent, considering the implications. Finally, he said, "I must consult with Concord Command." "Of course," Maya agreed. "But know this, with or without the Concord, humanity will defend itself against the scourge. We've faced extinction once. We won't risk it again. The choice before you isn't whether the Eclipse Protocol vessels will be used. It's whether we fight alongside each other or separately." Over the next 24 hours, frantic communications flew between the containment fleet and Concord Command. Maya waited patiently aboard the Shadowfall, knowing what the outcome would be. The Concord's fear of human technology was real, but their fear of the Scourge, an enemy they had fought for generations without success, was greater. When Admiral Torres contacted her again, his manner had changed. "Captain Rivera, Concord Command has authorized a joint operation against the Scourge High ship. The prohibition against Eclipse Protocol vessels is temporarily suspended pending further diplomatic discussions." Maya nodded. "Agreed, Admiral. We'll transmit our tactical analysis and proposed strategy immediately." What followed was the largest coordinated military action in Concord history. Human Eclipse vessels worked alongside Concord ships, their complementary technologies proving devastatingly effective against the Scourge defenses. The battle lasted 3 days, but the outcome was decisive. The High ship was destroyed, along with most of its supporting fleet. In the aftermath, as damaged vessels were repaired and casualties treated, Maya Rivera met face-to-face with Admiral Torres aboard a neutral station at the nebula's edge. "Your people fight well," Torres acknowledged grudgingly, "and your technology. It's unlike anything we've encountered." "Born of necessity," Maya replied. "The Genesis crisis changed us. We had to adapt or die." "This Genesis crisis," Torres said carefully. "Our intelligence suggested it was a natural disaster." Maya's eyes hardened. It wasn't. It was a precisely engineered pathogen that targeted Earth specifically. We never discovered who deployed it or why. That's why we built the Eclipse fleet, not for conquest, but because we learned the hard way that the universe holds threats we hadn't imagined. Taurus absorbed this information slowly. "The Council will need to reconsider its position on your technology." "We hope so," Maya agreed, "because the Scourge aren't the only threat out there. And next time, we may need each other even more." As Maya returned to the Shadowfall, she reflected on how quickly circumstances could change. 6 months ago, the Shadowfall had been declared illegal, hunted across the galaxy. Now it had become the vanguard of a new alliance. The ship had never been just a weapon. It represented humanity's response to near extinction. Adapt, innovate, survive. The Concorde had sought to outlaw not just a vessel, but the very spirit that created it, the human refusal to accept defeat. Standing on her bridge, watching as human and Concorde ships worked together to secure the nebula, Maya knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was larger and more dangerous than either humanity or the Concorde had fully understood. But perhaps together, they might be ready for whatever came next. The Shadowfall, once outlawed by the entire galaxy, had become the symbol of a new understanding. That strength, properly directed, could build bridges as well as win wars. Maya smiled slightly as she gave the order to set course for home. After all, she murmured to herself, some rules are meant to be broken.